Welcome to Podtendo, a Nintendo podcast, where they analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games.
Imagine you wake up in Jurassic Park and you're a raptor. You have sharp teeth and 7-inch claws, and since you've been extinct for 65 million years, you'd be in a really bad mood.
Hey guys, welcome to the Podtendo podcast. What do we do on the Podtendo podcast? Where we analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. 2021 is starting off really well. We can be contacted on Twitter at Podtendo Podcast. Email us at podtendo@gmail.com. We're also on potentially YouTube going forward. It's pretty exciting. We're on Instagram. There's a Facebook page. Don't ever contact us on Facebook page. It's there, but it's not really there, you know. I'm your co-host. What do we do? We're a Let's Play retrospective review pop culture show. Nailing it. I'm doing really well off the top here. I'm your co-host, Mick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Tyson.
Nice. So, I realize lots of our shows have technical glitches, errors in the past, which is a kind of point for today's show. But I did get a new setup, so if there's anything kind of inherently wrong with the show, I'll take the full blame. I feel like our last show, maybe you were a little quiet or something like that. Does that sound about right?
Could be. Maybe. I know we're both kind of going through some setup changes. You're working through new laptop and we're trying new things, and I'm trying to reposition my mic, so it's always a work in progress, but we're trying to make a better product for you guys.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens, just like they were doing in today's game. So this is one of our numbered shows. We're back in kind of just looking at random games. There's really no method to our madness whatsoever. And then we'll get back to the Zelda retrospective in about 2 weeks' time. It's good stuff. Can't wait to pick up that bad boy and play it through. But first, we got to get through today's game. We're doing 2 games for the price of 1. What? How come? I'll explain it to you in a second, because we're playing Jurassic Park for the NES, and we're also playing Jurassic Park for the GameGear, and we were kind of really wanting just to play the GameGear game, but then I forced Tyson to play the NES one, because we're a Nintendo podcast. That's how that worked.
Yeah. But for some reason, I was convinced that the Master System Jurassic Park was the NES version of the game, so I was completely sideways.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it didn't turn out to be a bad experience, just different, that's all. So anyway, let's go through the vital stats for these fine titles. Jurassic Park for the NES was developed by Ocean Software, sold less than 1 million copies, was released in July of 1993. How long to beat has this game at 1.5 hours? That is way too fast. Price at release was $49.99. If you factored inflation, it would be $79.76 today. eBay, you can get a copy of this game for about $29.99, which doesn't sound bad. And let me tell you, this game is not available anywhere legally on eShop. You definitely have to emulate this bad boy. So, yeah. And on to the other game that we're looking at today. Instead of looking at one and then the other, we're going to do them kind of both together. We're going to hodgepodge these bad boys. So, this game was Jurassic Park for the GameGear. It was developed by Sega. Sega themselves. They didn't even give it out to Ocean, whatever it was, Soggy Oceans, whoever developed the other one. Sold less than 1 million copies. It came out sometime in 1993. Has 3 hours is how long to beat has it at. That was an awkward way of saying that. Price at release was $29.99, and with inflation, that'd be $47.85 today. On eBay, you can get a copy of this game for $10. I almost bought it because I was like, that is a part of my childhood, and it's not available on eBay. And then just for our where to play section is you need an original copy or an emulator.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, this Jurassic Park game is fantastic. It's and people I'm sure will have to stay listening to find out which one I'm referring to. But yeah, there's one of these games is definitely a big part of our childhood, to a point where I remember the soundtrack vividly. Yeah, because I apparently must have just been playing this one game, because it's fantastic. I can't believe how much they've crammed into that little GameGear package. So
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. So, like I said off the top, we're kind of a pop culture show. What do I mean by that? Is what we do is we have a time machine on this podcast. We're one of the only podcasts I know of that actually has a time machine. So what we do is we jump into our patented Wayback Machine. And I do say that tongue-in-cheek, people, that it's patented, because it's clearly not. Like, I stole it from somewhere. I must have. I'm not that creative. And we're going to travel to just the year in general of 1993. We're going to ask the age-old question, Tyson, do you want to live there? But I don't think I did that this week. I think I just kind of like, I did kind of like an abridged version and kind of merged the two times together. So sometime in 93 is what we're looking at. So it's kind of like the whole year. Okay, we okay with that?
Oh, I'm okay with that,
All right.
because I'm looking ahead on the notes and I know what's coming. So
All right. So we're just going to look top TV. What are the top TV shows in 1993? We had NYPD Blue, Homicide, Life on the Streets, Dr. Quinn, Seinfeld, Frasier, and Cheers. And you're like, oh, okay, those seem like 90 shows. How about cartoons? We have Two Stupid Dogs, Adventures of Sonic, Animaniacs, Biker Mice from Mars, Exo Squad, Mighty Max, Sonic the Hedgehog, and SWAT Cats. So, in my mind, SWAT Cats was always a really premium cartoon.
yeah, and considering it's done by like Hanna-Barbera, like the people that did Scooby-Doo, like the people they're known for cutting corners, to like on the flip side to have released like SWAT Cats, it's like, there's clearly two different production houses that made these things. So I remember watching like SWAT Cats because it has that anime style to it. So it's like, it's really fantastic. And the game's good too.
I suppose, yeah, but it just, I don't know. Like I have this weird story where as a child we had the worst possible television in our house. Like we had CBC and CTV, which are two Canadian channels, and we didn't really get cartoons. And finally we got cable, and it was like a big deal. But I think it was satellite is what we were missing, because I once went to a lady's house while Mom was working for like 30 minutes, and she had SWAT Cats. And in my mind, I'm like, this is super premium. And like, it was like this little crappy trailer down in like this little like middle of nowhere basically. But like in my mind, that lady was like living the life because she had SWAT Cats on her TV. So that's like in my mind, I'm like, that's premium. Oh, top movies at the time. So movies released in July were Son-in-Law, Rookie of the Year, Weekend at Bernie's 2, Free Willy, Hocus Pocus, Coneheads, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and So I Married an Axe Murder. And if you like to laugh, I'll be honest with you, pretty freaking great month.
Yeah, a lot of good ones. Like, you even got your sports kids movie, Rookie of the Year, Hocus Pocus, fantastic movie, even though it got released middle of the summer for some reason.
Well, because it had to be
and you got
on
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Like,
there's still some jokes about that I laugh about to this day.
They're good. And I mean, I don't know if you don't actually know this or if I explained to the viewers, but the reason Hocus Pocus came out in July was so it would be on VHS in the rental stores for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Disney's very smart about their decisions.
Oh, 100%. Like, it didn't do well in the box office at all, but rental sales were great, and then they exponentially grew, and, like, they grew from there, and it grew this weird cult following. So it was kind of a flop initially, and then it got popular, and I think it's just kind of the timing. How about top video games of the year 1993? We got Doom, Star Fox, Myst, for some reason, the bolded Secret of Mana. I wonder what that means. Mortal Kombat 2, Mario All-Stars, Mega Man X, excellent, Kirby's Adventure, Sonic 3D, Link's Awakening, Aladdin, DuckTales 2, and X-Men, again, bolded on the Genesis. So,
boom, dang, like there's so many good things. Man, if you had multiple years just to go through 1 year, 93, fantastic. Link's Awakening, like, come on, DuckTales, Aladdin.
I feel like they're missing.
Some people don't love Kirby, but the Kirby games are pretty fantastic. Mortal Kombat 2, the good one.
I feel like they're just like, they don't have that super elite premium game, right? Like, they need the Super Mario World or Link's Awakening or like Metroid to knock it out of the park. But like, it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty deep. And maybe we'll talk about
Link's Awakening though.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about. But that's on like the Game Boy, and like, I don't know. It was okay.
It's not bad.
It's all right.
It's not bad.
It's all
it's
right.
Not bad.
Maybe we'll talk about Secrets of Mana and X-Men on Genesis later in this podcast. And finally, the top 3 songs according to the Billboard charts for 1993. I think I ran around July potentially. Are the number 3 song was "Boom, Shake the Room" by DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Like to hear the crowd go. Boom, shake, shake, shake the room. Boom, shake, shake, shake the room. Boom, shake, shake, shake the room. Take, 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 boom.
Was that really loud?
It was a little loud.
Yeah, huh.
But it's hard for me to tell on my end.
All right.
So.
Maybe I'll just like turn the volume down preemptively on this next one. Because the number 2 song is I'd Do Anything for Love by Meatloaf.
Anything for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
Yeah. So that's not bad. I think that was better.
Yeah, not a bad song at all.
I just have to like turn it down just a little bit. So like I think we're okay. All right. And then finally, the number 1 song, who else could it be? Oh no, that doesn't get there. Shoot. Is Dream Lover by Mariah Carey. So.
Yeah, it's not a Podtendo podcast without a Mariah Carey or a Janet Jackson.
Or like
Janet
a
Jackson.
fucking boom shake the room by DJ. I think that was probably Will Smith at that point. So yeah, there you go. So pretty quintessential year in the 90s. Not bad. Like I said, we might be coming back to it, which is unfortunate because we might be talking about this Wayback Machine. So I have to like really step up my game to keep it entertaining. Because when I start getting bored, it's a bad sign. You know, I'm entertained by anything. I'm an idiot. So.
Yeah, well, we all have our moments.
Yeah, nice. Now that we know what the pop culture landscape looks like when these games came out, let's specifically look at the development of this game. So the Nintendo version, it includes elements from the novel that were not used in the film. The raft level is similar to the novel. The bombing of the raptor's nest also follows a plot in the book. How about the Game Gear version? It was scheduled for release in September of 1993. Oh, we have a date. Oh, interesting. I could have used that. It features 5 areas of Isla Nubar. The 3 levels in each area for a total of 15 levels. They're like one screen. They're nothing to brag about. I don't know why you're doing that. The game can play the first, or the player can play the first 4 areas in any order, but cannot access the final area, the Jurassic Park Visitor Center, until the other 4 are complete. Each area begins with a driving section. At the end of each area is a boss, such as the Brachiosaurus, the Petrodon, the Velociraptor, and Triceratops. The player is armed with 3 non-lethal guns, a stun gun, an aerial stun weapon, and gas grenades. Well, that's what those are. They look kind of like little fire things. Medical kits can be collected to refill players' health, while bottles can be collected to expand the health bar. That worst development details ever.
Yeah. For a handheld game. But you want to know what? This game deserves it because it is jam-packed with just value. And I think that's why I played it so much. Because, like, yeah, there's a driving section before each, like, area. So essentially, even if you fail that, you can still go into the area. You just have, like, less health or whatever. Yeah. But it's still, like, really cool that you get, like, this little mini-game, like this little shooter mini-game where you're trying to, like, knock off, like, all the dinosaurs before they hit your truck, and it's just like really cool. Like I love that, and I remember like that. I think that was re-seeing that was like, I need to replay this. This was a big part of my childhood because I specifically remember like the I don't know what you're shooting, but it seems like it's like everything's non-lethal, and that's what's cool about this game. Like even if you kill like an enemy, either they like go back into hiding, or they just like get knocked down, and you can still kind of see them breathing. So they really double down on the non-lethal stuff, which is very neat because like, this is clearly aimed more towards kids. Whereas neat that the Nintendo version was like, nah, let's just rip stuff straight from the book, like bombing raptors' nests and stuff. So
well, I mean, I didn't write it down, but I can bet you the development details of these games were. We got the license for this big blockbuster hit that's coming out by Steven Spielberg this summer. We want a game out kind of in the next month or so. So here you go. Here's Ocean Soft. You guys seem like you do some pretty good work. Sega took it on there, I think, because they did probably the Genesis games 2 around this time. So they probably put some of their like top-notch guys and said, hey guys, we need to get these games out because they're going to sell like hotcakes because this movie is going to be freaking huge, right? So I'm guessing that's kind of what happened. Development.
Yeah. Well, the Game Gear is quite interesting because like we came into the Sega world for the Sega Genesis, so we kind of missed the Sega Master System.
Yeah.
So a lot of games that were released on the Master System got released on the Game Gear. So I wonder if like Sega had their own like dedicated department to just basically supporting the Game Gear by taking games that were originally on the Master System and just like doing almost direct ports.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think that like Game Gear gave you a handheld color version of like last gen system with the Genesis. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
Sega was ahead of the time. Like that's awesome.
100%. It's kind of like when they did the NES collection on the Game Boy Advanced, right? Like they had to skip ahead past the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advanced, like almost the next kind of iteration, which was beyond the color. So actually 3 iteration. Yeah, so exactly like Tyson's saying, the Game Gear was pretty much a portable Masters.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I didn't talk about the Master System because we didn't have that as a child. How about controls? So it's the NES. You move around in overhead view, shoot dinosaurs with various weapons, and collect eggs to move on to the next area. And the Game Gear is kind of weirdly addressed in the development details. So how about first memories?
Definitely.
All right, so I know I played the Super Nintendo version, never the NES version, and honestly, it was okay. As I'm going through this, I think the NES version might be better than the Super Nintendo version, even though the graphics are better. The Velociraptors in the Super Nintendo version are freaking terrifying. Very confusing. It's kind of hard. I think without a walkthrough, I'd be like, I don't know if you could beat this game. There's no save feature, so you kind of just have to power through or use save states. However, the Game Gear, this one we can talk about. It came into our lives somehow. I know we had a baseball game. We had Mickey Mouse's Castle of Illusion, an Avengers game, and a Sonic game. That's, in my mind, those are kind of the 5 games we had. So it must have been a birthday present, maybe? And I know we wrecked the adapter at some point, so we needed a secondary adapter. But this was like a pretty big deal. Now, it's a pretty big system. Like, even holding it in my hands today, it's quite large. And yeah, you just cycle through. You start with baseball, play that for a bit, like, oh, I got beat by the other team because I don't know how to pitch. That sucks. Oh, I'll play Mickey Mouse Castle Illusion. Oh, hard mode's too hard. I'll play easy mode. Oh, okay, I beat that. Avengers, too tough. Sonic, too tough. Jurassic Park. I once got to the T-Rex. Didn't beat him, but I once got to the T-Rex. And that shows dedication because, like, that's in one playthrough.
Yeah. So, starting about the... the Jurassic Park on the NES. I never played that one. I did also play the Super Nintendo version. For some reason, I think one of my friends had it, and I remember seeing the first-person view and just being horrified, but loving the elevator music.
Yep.
So just hanging out in the elevator and listening to that all the time, and then you'd open a door and there'd be like a Velociraptor, so you'd immediately close the door.
So my theory is it was another rental game from that gas station down the road.
Could have been. I thought my friend down by the church had it. So.
Possibly, but like I feel like it was definitely a rental. One of the There's some good games.
I feel like I experienced this around the same time. Around the same time I played like A Link to the Past. But yeah, I didn't really play too much of it. And then now like touching this one, I kind of agree. I like the NES version more. It's less like there's lots going on in the Super Nintendo version. Don't get me wrong, both versions are fantastic, I think. And if I was a kid, I would have been in heaven having these games because there's so much to it. So I feel like once you learn the pattern and once you know how to handle things, you'll probably be a bit better. I just feel like sometimes the hit detection with little smaller guys is harder than the smaller dinosaurs are sometimes hard to deal with than the bigger guys. Yeah. But for the Game Gear, like I remember playing the baseball game, finally figuring out like how to like drift a pitch in or out, so it just hit people all the time. That was fun. That was like one of my favorite things to do. Pitch as hard as you can and steer it towards the batter. Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, that's just classic. And then Mickey and the Castle Illusion, like because I was a terrible kid, I remember like one of the first games I ever beat on my own was Mickey and the Castle Illusion because I put everything on easy and it's basically like impossible to die. Yeah. As long as you can make somewhat decent jumps, like you can beat that. I love the Avengers game, but it was so hard. And then it was one of those games that I think that's ripped straight from the arcades. So it's kind of like an arcade game in your handheld, like crazy little things. The Sonic game, I feel like we need to touch on at some point, but this game, I actually recommend. I asked to play this game because there's just like a big part of my childhood that I remember playing this game and hearing the different music, seeing the different levels, and I must have played every one of these levels inside and out, and I never beat it. But I remember like specifically like learning the pattern of the Brontosaurus and like dealing with the Triceratops, and then learning like the Velociraptor and learning how to deal with the actual like pterodon. It's like I specifically remember learning all the patterns and having to deal with them, the struggles. But it would be one of those games. As soon as I died, I'd just like turn it off, turn it back on, because it's like I want to keep playing. So
yeah,
and I think
like Tyson kind of went
the whole like breaking up the levels, like with the car section and then the adventure section. Even if you failed at one, you still got to experience a lot of the game. So in some games, you don't even get to progress, where this game gave you multiple levels to dive into and mess your way through. So if you're terrible at the game, like I was as a kid, you still got to experience a huge part of it.
And yeah, like Tyson kind of went through, like there are very boring experiences as other games. This was a great gaming experience, and the fact that, I mean, I guess it was a port from the Master System, but the fact that this much care went into essentially it was a cash grab, right? It was a big ticket item that they got a licensing for, and you never see that with those games, right? That like they're actually good. So when you find a good one, I'm like, oh shit. I would be remiss before we move on though if I did not mention the X-Men game on the Game Gear, which is awesome, which is maybe why I highlighted X-Men on the Genesis earlier, because maybe we do like a big X-Men Sega show some point in the future. Play X-Men Clone Wars, X-Men on the Genesis, X-Men on the Game Gear. Could be fun.
Yeah, and there's a couple Game Gear games. I think there's Mojo World, Mojo's Legacy or something.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
That.
There is a couple
ones.
I want the one though, like that I'm thinking of. It's not the Game Master
the first
Legacy or Mojo Vision, but like the first one.
Yeah. No, that one's definitely the one to play, because I remember like you borrowing that from a friend and being obsessed with that game because it's so much cool. So cool, and like I love the Brood and I love X-Men, and that is where my love of X-Men and the Brood came from, was that one little random game.
Oh, so and I mean, just like X-Men are awesome, and the shame of how crappy the X-Men movies turned out to kind of be is how great the MCU is. That should have been the X-Men, you know? Like, you're like, man, the cartoon was just so good, and it just, like, takes me to a certain place in my, you know, like, it just, I don't know. Anyways, X-Men. We're on Jurassic Park. Let's talk about Jurassic Park. So the story of this game. So during a routine visit to Jurassic Park, the power goes off and the dinos escape. It's up to Alan Grant, the most competent person to resolve this issue. He's a paleontologist, people. Just here for a weekend. They just wanted his opinion. He's the most competent to restore order and save the survivors. There you go.
Absolutely. So they set him out by himself with some tools.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Here you go. Here's some non-lethal options to to take down these dinosaurs. Okay.
That are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally just outside every building, every door, inside the buildings. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Make sure it's non-lethal, kids.
Yeah. So we're going to look specifically at the Nintendo game first, because I don't know if I want to talk about this one as much as the Game Gear one. So we're going to start with the NES game. So Chapter 1 is Rescue Lex. You have to collect raptor eggs to get card keys so you can access some utility sheds. After the eggs are cleared out of them, you can unlock the main gate and rescue Lex from being trampled by Triceratops.
Yeah, I did not get that far in my playthrough.
Okay, interesting. So that's when he's like, and little YouTube Let's Play. All right, there we go. I think I got to the raft section. So we'll find out how far I got. Well, not very far. Apparently in the next chapter. Pretty basic. Nothing super special. Infinitely generating little dinosaurs, which are kind of annoying. You can apparently cycle through your weapons, which I didn't know about. I found out about after watching a Let's Play. It's kind of neat, right? The utility shed section when you're inside do suck. There's these blank walls, and if you look down, there's like a notch below because they're a doorway. I don't know why they just didn't open that up. That definitely would have helped out. But other than that, like the Triceratops section was kind of fun. Again, way better game than it should have been for just a cheap licensing thing. On to Chapter 2, Rescue of Tim. So we are told that Tim is in the T-Rex pen. That's silly. So we have to go through the raptor pen, which has always been an area that really fascinates me, FYI. Like, you know, when they see the cow feeding and there's like the foliage and it's covered by electric fences and there's like that little tower. In my mind, like going into that tower and you go underneath, there must be like an observation deck or something like that, because how else would you see the raptors? It's not a very big pen, or like maybe it leads somewhere else. I'm like infinitely fascinated by that scene in Jurassic Park. And then we fight our way up a river on a boat before saving Tim and shooting the T-Rex in the face. So it's pretty exciting.
And I think that, like, honestly, the atmosphere and all the different areas that they take you, and like, it's not just the same, like, 'cause it's so easy to just do a sideways, like, side scroller that's just like very repetition. This has a whole little world to adventure. Like, it actually feels like you're adventuring on an island and getting wrecked by dinosaurs, because you kind of got to respect them, because since they're dinosaurs, like, that's handled quite well.
Yeah.
It is terrifying when you sometimes like hear like the Velociraptor sounds, even though like they're not not the scariest looking in this game. But I'm sure as a kid, like, that would be a sound that you're just like panic immediately.
What?
So.
Do yourself, if you're listening to this and you really care, go Super Nintendo Jurassic Park game Raptors, and you're looking, you're like, oh my god, that is terrifying. Again, this game, they're not so bad. Chapter 3, turn on the power. So we must collect all the eggs, enter a utility shed, and turn on the power. From here, we can head to the visitor center. We must turn on the computers in the correct sequence. There are 7 of them. It's a very long building. It's kind of a maze. And I think the sequence goes something like 6, so you have to go almost to the end, and then 2, so you're back to the beginning, and then 5, so you have to go back to 5. And you don't know, they don't tell you. You just have to go up to the monitors and says, nope, this isn't the right one. Then 4, so I really hope that when you went to 5, you went backwards. Then for no reason, you have to go right to the end to 7, and then almost back to the beginning to 3, and then 1. It's something like that. Enemies respawn. I would not have played past this point. Screw this game.
Yeah, this is just padding for length at some point. But it's like, this game doesn't need it. Like, just let it be its thing. You don't need all this running around. Like, if this was just like literally, you know, like, go turn the power off in 2 spots or 3 spots or whatever, it's like, that's so much easier as opposed to like figuring out some random puzzle with going in and out of rooms. It just seems like a time waster. And when enemies respawn, it's not fun.
No, not at all. Chapter 4, blowing up the raptor's nest. So we have to collect eggs to get a key to get some bombs, and we have to destroy the 3 raptors' nests. And it does seem a little bit intense as you're trying to escape the nest on a time limit, and those enemies keep respawning. So that was kind of a neat little section. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And we'll just jump right along, unless you have something important to say on that one.
Nah.
Right.
I do this for whatever reason. It kind of reminds me of the like finale of Aliens.
Oh yeah. Well, you go into the nest, right? Yeah, you have to go into the nest, right, and come face to face with the queen.
Yeah, set some bombs, get out of there.
Okay, how about chapter 5, the docks? So we make our way across the docks while avoiding dolphins, because they're like, fuck you guys, you brought dinosaurs back to life, fuckers. I killed them for a reason. Avoid another Triceratops stample, which is way faster this time. Finally, we get rid of all the eggs on the boat. We get to go through some very dangerous electrical decks of the ship to send out a radio transmission. And I looked, and guess what? Workers' compensation would say you guys don't get anything because there's electrical panels and like little Tesla towers that shoot lightning at your workers. This is not safe conditions. What do you no bad?
Yeah, how do you people, like, just the logistics alone of this shipping dock is horrible.
Oh my!
Like, whoever designed this is as a masochist and has no idea of how logistics of a shipping container and dock should work.
It's not good. It's not well thought out. Not good at all. How about chapter 6, the escape? So help is on its way now that we send out the radio transmission. However, we have to traverse a very heavily infested outside area, some inside of buildings, and rooftops, which will give us access to the raptor paddock one last time and a final fight with the Tyrannosaurus Rex before escaping. Hooray! Now that that's done, you have any final thoughts?
You know, I think that this game is like, there's a lot of depth to it, and that's why I think like the one lagging part is in chapter 3 with the back and forth and the computers. Seems super arbitrary, where the rest of this game is just like action set pieces, and for an NES game to kind of have a narrative with like action set pieces and it feels like you're actually running all over like an island, like that's pretty awesome. Like, this game is really well done. So
I mean,
but
I wasn't
Ocean's fantastic.
Playing chapter 3 and I was bored. Like, I was like, oh my god. And again, not bad. Like, if I would have got this game, like when I watched it, had an NES, bought this game, took it home, I've been like, that's a pretty good licensed game. You know, like that is it's not bad. Like a little bit of polish, and this would be like great, right? I was not expecting that. It's, I would say, better than the Super Nintendo port. Just kind of like that quick. That off the top of my head, that's my gut feeling on that game, right? So, anyways, on to the Game Gear game. Before each area, you have to play through a shooting game while in a car, and it takes little jumps on the road, which throws off your little cursor. They're not bad. I think I got hit a couple times, but usually I was able to get all the little gas canisters, so I got 5 health. I was able to get beat the bad guys. So good job, me.
Yeah, like if you hold the shoot button, it goes at like a pretty slow pace, but if you spam it, it really like takes off. So taking down any of the like the T-Rex or any of the stuff that's chasing you down, not too hard. You just aim at their face.
No. So this one, we got 4 areas to go through. I wrote them down in some order. So we'll go through that. We'll talk about the final area, and we're done. Good. Again, great game. Download an emulator, play this bad boy. On to the Brachiosaurus. So you start off with some light platforming, a weird inside section with some raptors. Maybe it's like a utility shed or something? Maybe? And then we make our way past some dino butts before jumping onto a raft and fighting the boss, the Brachiosaurus. You have to shoot him with your aerial, I call it a rocket launcher. I think it's like an aerial stun gun or something.
Yeah, shoots up.
Yeah.
But and the pattern's super easy.
Oh.
Like he goes literally like he pops over the head on the right and then moves to like falls to the middle and then pops up in the middle and falls to the left. And it's like once you realize that, it's like this is so easy. I cannot take a single hit and just wreck this guy. So I remember beating him as a kid and being very proud of myself, but in hindsight, it was a very easy boss to memorize the pattern.
Oh, 100%. This is definitely entry level. Everyone should be able to do this with a little bit of practice. Don't get discouraged because it's really not that difficult if you have basic understanding and mechanics of hand-eye coordination. That old thing. So on to the pterodon. Are they still called pterodons? Is that a thing, or is this like an archaic thing?
I have no idea.
All right.
They've changed the name, like Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and then they weren't one, and then they were one, and then there's pterodons, then
like I kind of feel like my
like,
knowledge of dinosaurs stops with Land Before Time, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're fighting.
All I know is Ducky says yep.
Yeah, so we're fighting Petrie right now. The first area is kind of a maze with some caves, and it's probably one of the best designed areas of the game. Like, I kind of wish there was more of these, where if you go through certain doors, you almost have to kind of remember what the outside area looks like, and the better that memory is, the more upgrades and little goodies you get. I like that. Then you have to fight along some cliffs that collapse under you, and then we fall into some trees where we fight Petrie. And there's a bunch of platforms, and he either flies left and right, and he can kind of go like up, middle, down. You'll never get that. Or he comes at you from like 2 vertical angles, and that's when you use the up gun, and you go boom into his face. Easy.
Yep. I mean, you're platforming on some like on a moving platform with like the screen scrolling, whatever. So you just gotta make sure that you are aware of where you are. I seem to remember as a kid getting hit and then falling completely off the map and dying a lot that way. But as long as you try to prioritize not getting directly hit by him, like he doesn't have any projectiles, he just runs into you.
Yeah.
So just make sure you don't, or either you shoot him before he runs into you, or don't let him run into you.
Like, don't fall off the platforms, and don't have him run into you more than you shoot him in the face, and you shouldn't die.
Yeah, and it scrolls so slow. Yeah. Like, it's very manageable.
Yeah.
So
anyone could do it. So one thing I forgot to mention that I should have mentioned was there's a part where you have to go to the utility shed, I think in the NES game, and it's recreated so beautifully that I was in awe. Like, I was sitting there watching this video, and I was like, holy crap, they recreated the actual outside of the utility shed, how I imagined it looking, and the insides to turn on the power again. And I thought that was done expertly. Like, that NES game, it did, you know what? I kind of threw it in just kind of as a laugh, and so we could talk about a Nintendo game, but like, well played. So now we're going to go fight Sarah, because she's the 3-horn, and I don't know what they're really called, because I just know Land Before Times. There is a terrible storm that has rogue tornadoes and vicious lightning. The lightning actually digs holes in the ground. It's awful. And then it lights trees on fire, and if you don't jump into the trees, you get caught in the flames and you burn to death. That happened to me a lot. It was awful. But then the boss here is you have to shoot its tail, so you can climb onto the kind of roof and jump over him, or just jump over him. And sometimes he misses the gore and he gets stuck in the tree, and then you can just shoot him a bunch. So.
Yep, and he has a pretty repeatable pattern where, like, once you get used to just jumping on the roof and grabbing onto the roof, like that is such a savior in this. But man, just like the level design of this is so cool. Like when there's some trees in water, and you have to like jump. You can either walk through the water and climb on, like jump onto the branch when the lightning strikes, so you avoid getting hit, or if you time it just right and you can actually jump your way into those trees, so you can skip all of it and get all sorts of goodies. It's like there's so much like little details just plugged into like such like little pixels that you don't even think about, where the game designers clearly cared a lot and put little things in where you may not realize that there is a shortcut, or there's an easier way, or there's a little hidden thing over here, and if you play it through the first time, there might be a different path the second time. So pretty cool the way that they built this into just such a small little game. So very cool.
In terms of bosses, Triceratops is the second hardest, not including T-Rex. I think the Pterodon, just because he kind of like has a weird pattern, it's hard to figure out. Triceratops, because it's actually a threat. The Brontosaurus is not a threat. And then the worst one, we're getting to him right now. So we're on to the Velociraptors. The raptors love volcanoes. So you have to shoot in a volcano area, and it looks very treacherous. Then you have to make your way across some lava and through an electric plant. And if you take your time, it's not too bad, but it's kind of one of the best designed areas. There's like flying dinosaurs that attack you here. I dig it. It seems very threatening. It's not too bad. And then you have to fight a blue raptor. And if you shoot him, she dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not too hard. This one is I really like this one.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like they utilize I think the only one that I don't really use too much is basically like the gas grenades. Yeah. But even those can kind of come in handy if you just like position yourself right with some people, because they do a ton of damage. Yep. But yeah, like this Velociraptor pops her head out and you shoot her, and then she runs away. And as long as you shoot her, she can run right past you. As long as you shoot her once, so it was like,
just stand on the bottom and then just
hard as a child.
Point either way. And then even if when she runs down, she kind of like, there's 4 doors, and either she'll stop in like one of the top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. She just runs like kind of across and like zigzags. Very simple. Anyway, so now we've just
super simple.
We've now stopped.
I just want to say real quick that this boss reminds me a lot of the pig boss from like Kirby's Dream Land.
It was good.
Same basically design, where boss runs out one door, goes to another door. But the problem is like Kirby games are super easy, and that's like the first boss in the game, and that's like one of the bosses in this game. So it's like this game is not aimed at high difficulty.
No, I was going to say there's definitely maybe it is Kirby with the pig with the little one that follows it or something.
Yeah, maybe I think Kirby's Dream Land 3
or 2 for the Game Boy.
Could be 2.
Anyways, it's probably repeated a couple times. So yes, I think there's actually even like a sword fight with a boss in a Kirby game. So it's very basic video gaming at this point. So anyways, now we're on to the final area, the visitor center. So we see some people fleeing in fear, which is an awesome scene, and you're like, oh cool, there's like a lady's running, and she falls down and she goes, oh no, help. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll help you, lady, don't worry, Ellen Grant's here, I got this, I'm just a visitor, but guess I'll do your job. Then we enter this crazy maze area. There are tons of doors in wrong directions. You can fight T-Rexes as they poke their head through the doors, and there's raptors who come through these other doors. Eventually you find the boss. I think trial and error, I think I got through it. So maybe it's not as big as I make it seem, right? Like I probably did 80% of the options. It wasn't too bad. But the T-Rex. So I threw some flares at him, and some boxes would fall, and then I would use my healing items since I didn't know how to avoid taking damage. And then this Let's Play that I watched, this guy beat him with just the rocket launcher, and he made it look really easy and didn't take any damage. So I don't know what's going on there, but I did in fact beat him. Take that, Child Mick. Advantage me.
Yeah. But this boss is no joke. He will take off a huge chunk. He takes off like 3 bars of your 5 bar health. So if you don't heal, and you don't have healing items, and you haven't been saving them, you are so boned. But yeah, like you can use either the flares or just or the gas grenades, or flares, whatever the heck you want to call them, or you can use the rocket launchers to shoot up and drop the things on them. Yeah, it's nice that there is some variety, but yeah, very. It's nice that the final boss is the T-Rex. Very suiting.
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100%. So, no, the endings of these fun games. NES one, you get brilliant. You have escaped Jurassic Park. You have succeeded where others become dinner. But some dinosaurs survive, and only time will tell who rules the Earth. You then get to walk through the credits. Well, that's kind of neat. Also, weird foreshadowing for Jurassic World. So, what do they know? NES. Ocean Sponge Entertainment. What are you doing nowadays? Nostradamus, what you should be called, because you told the future. It's creepy. And then the GameGear is you help reestablish the park, and it reopens without incident. Hooray! There is a bad ending if you die once, where if you lose, even one life, like I said, the park won't open. But I didn't get that, because I'm too good and use save states.
Yeah. Also, it's like, is the Game Gear like canon? Because is this like
you're saying
the story that because you know how like Jurassic World essentially like they do actually open and everything, but the first incident does in fact happen.
I see.
So it's like,
oh, I see. So
did the Game Gear like story, is it canon in the Jurassic World franchise? And I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
So everybody has to go back. So if you watch the Jurassic World movies and you like them, or you like Jurassic Park at all, you need to play that game. Just saying.
Oh,
you need to fill in that timeline.
I would say anyone that is like looking like, I want to play an older game, have some fun. This game, it's delightful. Yeah. Anyways, so like current thoughts.
30 minutes and now you're back. Like it's boom, you're done.
Yeah, it's great. So current thoughts. Both these games are really fun. As far as movie tie-in go, I think they hold up really well. I think they exceed expectations. I would not expect this nowadays, going back to play this if I hadn't as a child. Now, I do have nostalgia goggles like crazy for this game, at least the Game Gear one, so that is definitely holding a little bit. But just, yeah, like Taysom said, the music, the atmosphere, the sprite design, I think it is just some top-notch video game stuff, and you're really doing yourself a disservice by not going out and playing this game. So you're going to be like, I was not expecting that quality of game from a Jurassic Park, right? So...
yeah, and you know, like I think modern like what franchise games or what the heck you want to call them, I'm forgetting the term off the top of my head, but like licensed games or whatever the heck they are, like they generally suck nowadays. But back in the day, like these games, like these game developers, they got a franchise because they were interested and they cared and they made something fantastic. Like the NES game's really, really fun, and like I mean, it's a little bit difficult, but if you want to sit down and play like one of the best Jurassic Park games, yeah, like easily there. And then for the Game Gear, it's like I think it's just like just like a really, really fun pick up and play game. Like it's so casual and easygoing. Like I wish that this game had more releases because it's just so underutilized and just feels like it's collecting dust when it's such a like the sprites, the level design, the character animation, like everything's just so adorable and fun. It just makes you love the Jurassic Park world even more. It's just like I wish more games were like this.
Well, one of the weird points I just thought of just as you were talking was lots of Sega games weirdly come from licensed products, right? Because people will talk, they're like, oh man, the Lion King, that game was great. Oh, Aladdin, I love that game, right? The X-Men games hold up. The Jurassic Park games on the Genesis. And so some of their biggest games that Sega worked on were licensing games. So like they weren't great at coming up with their own IPs, but if they took an existing IP, they could run with it. Like they're really good at building worlds and video games based on kind of existing products, right? It was just they didn't do that part of it well, right? So
totally. And I think like you're absolutely right, because like a lot of their licensed games are just fantastic to a point where it's like even just thinking about the X-Men games just makes me want to go and track them down and play them. And I need myself a Game Gear collection. So Sega, if you're listening, please give me a handheld Game Gear collection. I will pay you money for it. Not Nintendo Switch money, but I'm telling you, I will pay you money.
All right.
Maybe Nintendo Switch Lite money.
There you go. Nice. So we did current thoughts. What would you change? So sometimes we do that. We're like, save feature? You have to kind of play both these games in one sitting. I think a nice save feature would probably do them well, you know? Make them more accessible.
Yeah, save feature for sure for the NES. Maybe 1 or 2 more levels for the Game Gear, but I mean it's a handheld, so I'm really am I complaining that much?
Yeah.
But no, it's maybe just one more level. Just give me one more hidden level or something, in case I can collect all the certain blah blah blahs and to capture all the like dinosaurs, so I can do a boss rush or something. I don't know, but it's like that's a game that I feel like I could just spend more time playing.
All right, cool. And how about something that kind of ends our review? I think we were more optimistic than we probably thought we were going into these games. So there you go. How about a final, are you buying it? We're going to do a cultural significance, and then we're out of here. So the dinosaurs are fake. You can't find dino DNA, so they created some genetic freak monsters and sold them to the public as dinosaurs. I didn't go back and listen to our Jurassic Park movie ones where I did that, so I might have done this before. So are you buying that theory?
I feel like that is a big part in the Jurassic World story. That's kind of where they went with it. And it was kind of like underlying in the first one.
Yeah.
Then the Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 kind of like Spielberged it, where it's like, nah, it's hopeful and joyful. Don't think about that stuff. Where it's like, it's clear, it's definitely there. Like these you can't just take frog DNA and splice it and be like, yeah, it's frog DNA, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean, know what I mean. It's like, no, they're tampering with things that they shouldn't have been tampering with. So
nice. There you go. Cool. Yo. So then finally, a cultural significance. So in this section, we look at game tropes, marketing tactics, interesting stories. We've never done a lot of marketing tactics, but kind of want to go back to Star Fox and talk about the cool kiosks that looked like Starship. Anyways, we talk about how this game relates, give other examples, and tie it all back together in the end. And I'm going to knock it out of the park here. Like, start of the year, this is the best. So in honor of super tedious, check the computers in the right order section in Chapter 3, because I hated it. Let's look at some of the most boring video games of all time. Ready for this? How about Rock'em Sock'em Robots? In 2006, for the Game Boy Advance, you mash A to punch, and you play against another robot. That's the game.
that doesn't. You know what? Like, we've played Rock'em Sock'em Robots in real life.
Maybe skill involved, because there's like 2 buttons, but this one is just one.
Yeah, and you can kind of like jostle forward
Yeah.
and back. This one, yeah, just mash A.
All right. How about Tale of the Sun, a 1997 PS1 game. So you are a cave person as you run around a large, open, snowy landscape. You can eat stuff and fall asleep. That's it. They're not really sure what the plot was, what you're supposed to do, but they're like, look at this crazy open world. Fun.
Nice. One of those games where you just run around until you give up from boredom.
Yeah. Okay, how about Euro Truck Simulator, 2008 for the PC. So you get to play as a truck driver as you pick up cargo and drive it around Europe. They say it's really annoying when you're on one of the superhighways and you miss your exit and you have to go all the way down and to the next one to flip around, because that's the real thing. There's no like Grand Theft Auto, I'll just drive off this road, because you can't do that, because it's real truck simulation.
Yeah, I've heard of this franchise, and I don't think it's for me.
Yeah. Oh, I've got
It's
a dandy for you coming up. You just wait. Speaking of waiting, how about Waiting in Line 3D, a 2013 PC game. So you wait in a slow-moving line. You can jump and punch yourself in the face to stay awake.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible. I hate waiting in lines in general. Like, I'm one of those people that went before, we went to lockdown, that if there was a line in front of a restaurant or near for a restaurant, I would just go to a different one.
Yeah.
Because I hate waiting in lines that much.
Yeah, we kind of have that thing in our family. Where one time we went to watch one of the Hobbit movies, and there was a line to get in the theater because, I mean, it's a movie theater, and it wasn't that long of a line. But we, like, panicked and got super, like, anxious. So we left and got a refund on our tickets. And we found out you could refund tickets in movie theaters, and we all felt way better. So probably not a game for us. That's, like, our greatest horror game, Waiting in Line 3D. So I'm sorry I brought that up.
It's okay. I'm sure I'll get over it.
All right. How about and then my final entry is Euro Truck Simulator Desert Bus from 1995 for the Sega. So you have to drive between Tucson and Vegas at 45 miles per hour in real time. Yes, for 8 hours. You slowly drift to the right, so you have to kind of like account for that, so you do have to pay attention. And if you stop or break any traffic laws, you will be towed back to Tucson in real time and have to try again.
That's awful. That game is like the game of who can pay attention for 8 hours. That's awful. Imagine you got that was your only game for the system.
Yeah.
I would quit playing video games and I would have done anything else, like a pack of cards.
I kind of feel like that's one of those good
It's infinitely more interesting.
FU games for like a teacher to have. They're like, oh, you want to talk in class and not pay attention? Well, you got to play video games or I'm going to expel you. That's what you got to do. And that's what the kid has to do is like play this game for 8 hours. That's all they get to do. Or they're getting like, no one's going to do that.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some like psychopath out there that's like, oh man, this is one of my favorite games as a kid, but it's like you need to see a therapist because
I wonder if anyone's driven from Tucson to Vegas in a truck while playing this game.
And then now you're just getting meta. At least that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So. Okay. So the computer sequence doesn't really seem that bad. It wasn't that, like, and to be honest, the Jurassic Park games are pretty good, right? So some of the better movie to video game tie-ins out there, I would argue, especially early on by like 93, like you're probably not finding a better movie to video game tie-in up to this point. So that's pretty good. And that's pretty culturally significant. But like, I guess it wasn't that boring. So it's not really a great start to the year. I really didn't have anything. I wasn't feeling that inspirational. Leave me alone. Jeez.
I think that sometimes we got a fairly jam-packed year with lots of big games. So sometimes it's nice to do some like smaller little bite-sized games. And this was just a nostalgia flashback. And I think we both had a little bit of fun just kind of going back and reminiscing. And sometimes it's nice to just kind of go back and reset. So what better time to do it that and start of the year, kind of reflect, reset the gauge, and then know that we're moving forward. It's going to be we're trying all sorts of new technical things. So much like Jurassic Park, we're evolving.
Nice. Coolio. Yeah, so with that, I guess that's our first number show of the year. We could talk off mic about what we're doing next, but I think they're going to be good ones, Lots of fun stuff. So without that, did we miss anything?
I think I got to say James Bond.
Yep.
Also, it's been delayed to like November, so...
Hey, another year of it. Great.
Yeah, like a year and a half of delays. Like, who's not happy about that?
All right, well, I think I said my New Year's resolution was going to be getting a YouTube video thing going on. I did one the other day. So if you look, there's Donkey Kong... Turtles in Time. I put a video picture and the audio and turned it into a video and put it on YouTube. So you might get more of those. Not great quality by any means. Like, nothing super special, but we're trending in the right direction. So we do New Year's resolutions right here on the Podtendo podcast. So
absolutely.
Right.
So give it a look.
Cool.
Give it a listen. If you think of anything or you guys want to see something specific from us, let us know.
Yeah, we're doing definitely requests. Like, I got a couple of games we're definitely going to do. As soon as I press stop, I'm going to tell Tyson. I'm not going to tell you, listeners, though. I'm not going to tell you until a month. You have to wait a month. But in 2 weeks, you get Zelda, so that's exciting. So we'll talk then and go from there. And yes, if you have any requests, honestly, shoot us out. We're very, very open. So, cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.